Welcome back to Studio 701. We all want what's best for our children, and sometimes that means finding the right kind of therapy.
We learn about reflex integration, which is now being offered at Kids in Motion in Mandan.
Okay, so here we are back at Kids in Motion. This time I'm with Ariana. Thank you so much for having us here.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
We just got to see reflex integration therapy, which was really neat. Can you just explain what is that?
So first I'll explain a little bit of what a reflex is. And I think what a lot of people think is when they go to the doctor, right, and they tap you on the knee and your foot flies forward. So there are so many fundamental and foundational reflexes that every single one of us is born with. For example, I'll ask you, if you trip and fall, what's the first thing you do?
Reach out.
Right, so that is called protective extension. That is how you protect yourself. So our reflexes are in our DNA and they're in our central nervous system to keep us safe, first and foremost. So as infants, they go through all of these developmental changes, and when they grow, they integrate these reflexes into their system. So a protective extension only comes out to keep them safe, or to keep you or I safe. So we actually still have all of these patterns, which is really fascinating. But a kiddo that might not have a reflex of protective extension properly integrated might appear to be aggressive, because if they feel like you're coming too close to them, initially they're going to put that protective mechanism into work, and they're going to do what? They're going to push or shove their classmates. So it might look like a behavior, but it could be reflexive in nature, and we have some really simple, very easy to reproduce exercises to help that reflex calm back into the nervous system and only be used for true issues of safety.
So what goes on in a therapy session with you?
So we do touch, we do movement, and we even do things like providing visual or auditory cues so that we're really working with the base and the foundation of what the reflex is. And they really just look like exercises. So some kiddos that have difficulty with coordination or difficulty crossing midline, which could also look like having a hard time cutting or even sitting in their chair straight onto the classroom. They might have difficulty understanding where their midline is. We call that midline orientation. So some kids might not be able to do this. Now watch me closely. Okay. Take your right arm and touch it to your left knee. There you go.
Oh, workout now too.
Yep, so this is working your right and your left hemispheres, and we're creating regulation between your right and your left hemispheres, which allows them to talk more fluidly to each other, which can help a lot of kids that are struggling with a variety of difficulties throughout their daily routine.
That's what I was wondering, what ages and abilities of kids do you see?
All ages, all abilities. And the cool thing about what we do with occupational therapy, so I might see a kiddo who's working to hold their utensils for feeding, or we have really poor handwriting. So what those would be is we strengthen the hand, which is another reflexive pattern. Having a weak hands grasping pattern would facilitate an inability to not be able to hold their pencil correctly, not be able to hold and orient their silverware correctly. All of these problems that these parents say, wow, what do I do? It could truly come down to one thing, which is as simple as a hands grasp and strengthening that motor pattern and using sensory motor integration for reflexes to strengthen that, and we could see improvements in all of those things just by working one pattern.
How quickly do you see results with some of your clients?
So the really fun thing about working with reflex integration is once you get to the root of the problem, which I think is beautiful about understanding reflexes at such a fundamental level, is you can see the problem and where they're coming from. You see results actually rather quickly. Within about 12 to 18 weeks, you know if you're in the right reflexive pattern, because you'll see significant changes because you're addressing the foundation, right? Sometimes we like to build the house first. If our kid's not able to write their name, we teach them how to write their letters. But what if we took it back a step? What if instead of building the house from the roof down, we built it from the bottom up? We're creating a strong foundation, and we're fixing these layers of deficits as we move along.
Okay, Ariana, how common is reflex integration?
Well, fortunately, I think that it's starting to become more common. I know in the upper Midwest, more people are starting to look into MNRI or more other courses that have reflex integration as part of the foundation of continuing education. Right now, I am the only one in the state of North Dakota that is actively pursuing my core specialist degree. So with that, I will do testing, I will do hands-on practice, and hopefully, fingers crossed, within the next 5 years, I'll be the first core specialist to bring the awareness of reflex integration to the state of North Dakota.
If you'd like to find out more about reflex integration or any other therapies offered at Kids in Motion in Mandan, make sure to call 415-0000. Now, coming up next, if you've tried to schedule a dermatology appointment late